in the beginning of 70, my father listened a lot of Palestrina in my home. That was completely surrealist because nobody listened the Missa Pape Marcelli at this time. And I remember when I was 7 or 8 years, this music that was completely surrealist for me because it was the big age of the Beatles, and I remember my brother listened Pink Floyd and everything, and my father insisted with the Palestrina, Missa Pape Marcelli, and of course I was influenced by this taste at home, and my grandfather also. He was so happy that I was passionate for classical music, but I started very late. When I started violin, I was 11, so that's normally considered very late. I think it's a good age because before it's, especially for string instrument, it's so difficult. And of course, classical music transformed completely my life because I was in the beginning, you can say in English, un bambino prodigio, ma fra virgolette, no? When you say, I'm fan prodige, but very, I show a big talent for violin, and was of course evident that was difficult to stay in Sicily at this time for learn violin because Sicily, especially at this time, now it's completely different. But it was really a highland, very far away to the rest of Italy. So the first big question mark when I was little was go out to the Sicily.
Okay.
Olga is here. I see
I
that.
see Olga is here. Hi, Olga. Can you hear us? Olga?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. And Vaslava and Jana are here with us. Vaslava and Jana are from Prague. So we are very, very international here. And you told me something, you didn't actually say it out loud, but you mentioned something about music coming to find you even before you were born, when you were with your mother.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a little bit about that.
My mother was a little disappointed that I leave school, the normal school, because I was so passionate for violin. And she was a little scared because, of course, make a musician life was dangerous. And she told me, I know, it's my fault, because when you was inside me, your father gave me a present. It was the Paganini Violin Concerto number 4. And was recently discovered at this time. It was a sort of premiere. And I remember this record played by Henry Schering. And my mother listened a lot of this concerto of Paganini when I was inside her. So she told me that was her fault because you listen too much Paganini, and then you were. That's very strange for me because, of course, I am a big. I think that Paganini was a great personality in the story of the music, but I don't like him like a composer. I think it's not really a very interesting music. So in one way, I was violinist, but not in love about Paganini. So there is a sort of disconnection. That's probably true that violin it was inside me, but not really Paganini.
Well, I personally have a kind of an aversion when I hear virtuosos. Normally, I mean, there are obviously outstanding virtuosos who actually play music, but normally a virtuoso to me is somebody who plays a lot of notes and not always plays the music that comes with the notes.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention names, but I think Paganini, you know, the devil that came out of the violin and all this. But so it's a good idea that you you stayed away from
Even
Niccolò.
yeah, even if Paganini, I think it's not enough investigate in relation of his time, because I think there is a interesting way to approach his music, different than normally the violinists do today. Of course, I'm a little violinist to compare this repertoire, and we have a fantastic virtuoso in every part of the world. But I think we forget a little the humanity of this personality. Paganini was before then to be a composer. He was a big personality, histrionic, and I investigate a little about him, and I think we forget his improvised personality. The documents are very interesting. He was, for example, I remember to follow the document about the competition that he made with the famous virtuoso at this time, uh, Rode, or the French violinists, when they play concertante music from Kreutzer, and the people don't recognize the real music of Kreutzer. He was completely manipulate of this music. That's typical at this time. We can consider it Paganini uh, um, improvised violinist, and he was exactly like this. He was a manipulator. And well, that's great. We have a fantastic guest, Olga and Anne Allenberg. Anne, Olga, a big kiss.
Hello, it's good to have you here with us.
That's
Uh,
great.
I can see from your smile that you do hear us. Can you try and say something just to make sure that we can hear you? You might. Okay, okay,
Cornelia,
okay.
Cornelia, you know that Anne, she's our Farinelli in Adriano
Oh,
Impagnino. Anne, I love you. Hey, Olga,
The oh, go ahead, go ahead.
in a very short time, I just talk, even now, about Adriano in Syria. In the first 10 minutes, I mentioned Adriano 2 times.
Actually, it was three, but
But we don't listen the voice.
I think that they want to use Holger and Anne. I think you want to use the earphones. Try that, please. Can you try and say something? Let me just see something. I might be able to solve the problem. Just a second. No, it seems that you're okay. I don't see a problem with your. I don't see a problem with your mic, so you should be able to say something to us. Um, what I would like to ask you, because I can see that you can hear us, if you want to say something and you cannot use the mic, just write in the chat. Can you see the chat there, Holger and Anne? It's on the right-hand side of your screen at the bottom. Hi, now I see you much better. There's a beautiful light. Try and say something, please. Okay. I think what you want to do, Holger, is maybe step out of the room and come back. Don't ask me why it solves the problem, but this is computerization. Uh, so, okay, now say something, please. I don't know. I don't know why I can't hear you. Okay, let's continue. And Fabio, I'm going to bring you back to what is it, 13, 14 years ago. You are not yet born, and your mother is sitting home and listening again and again and again to Concerto numero 4, and
Yeah.
I chose. I have the Concerto numero 3 with sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find number 4, but I did find Salvatore Accardi,
Mm.
and I chose Il Rondo Galante, so that we
Yeah.
stay.
I want to say to you something before that you
Okay.
say the music.
Okay.
Sometimes, especially with the new Baroque generation, the people forget a little the old generation of the violinist. Many interview uh, make question about solisti veneti or I musici, and they say, of course, without this ensemble, it will be probably impossible to play Vivaldi around the world. So I'm really, I I think we we must be very reconnaissance about this generation. And Salvatore Accardo, this record, Philips, of the sixth violin concerto of Paganini was recorded in 6 days.
Really?
Yeah, one concerto per day. So it's absolutely beautiful because you can imagine how it's difficult, this music.
Wow.
Was really one of the big virtuosos at this time. So I'm a lot of admiration for him because, of course, one concerto per day of Paganini.
Let me tell you a little story. First of all,
Yeah.
for me, Accardo is really one of the very few who make Paganini lovable for me,
Mm-hmm.
because he's But about a week ago, or 10 days ago, Nira and I went to a concert here in Tel Aviv of a violinist called Yehonatan Berik. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is completely insane. He's a big man, big all over,
Mm-hmm.
and he played the 24 capricci,
Yeah.
one after another, in one concert. And it was a whole, like an arena.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was sitting all around him.
Yeah.
Beautiful paintings, Gainsborough and on the walls. And he turned 360 degrees while playing the 24 Capricci, and he made a very good job of it, which was difficult. But and so
Yeah.
okay. So let's, if it's okay with everybody, let us start and listen a little bit to Salvatore Accardi playing the Rondo Galante. We have one of the people in the room that is not going to hear us. I don't know who
It's
it
me,
is.
Dan. It's me. So
It's you.
I can hear from your computer. That's fine.
Okay. So let's listen to it. Paganini, one concert a day. Wow. Of course, we could listen to it for much longer, but we don't have the time that your mother had, Fabio, waiting for you. So I think let me unmute you. Okay.
It's so funny. It's
I
funny.
cannot hear you, Fabio.
No, really, I'm here.
Non ti sento. Aspetta.
Oh, I am here.
No, I can't hear you. Fabio,
Hello,
would you
I'm
please
here.
leave the room and come back?
Yeah.
Ah, yes? Ah, so it's my problem. No, stay here. I'll do something. Just a second.
I'm here.
Uh,
Anne, can you hear me? Olga.
just a second. I'm going to end the
Good.
conference and come back in. Just a second. Sono qua. Can you hear me now? No. 111. Can you hear me? I did. Yes. You can't hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Okay.
Fabio, mi senti? No? Wow. Okay, so I'll do it again. So, Nira, say that I'm going to give you the presentership, and I'll leave.
Now, actually, Dan, now I can hear you.
Okay. Fabio, mi senti? No.
Thanks.
Luisa, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I can. So, Fabio, you cannot hear me. In this case, I would suggest, Fabio, if you can please leave the room and come back. It sometimes happens when we play music that the transmission is not so fantastic. Let me see. Maybe you don't hear me, Fabio.
Oh.
Fabio, can you hear me? No. Aspetta un attimo. I'm going to call Fabio because I think he doesn't hear me. What? No, he doesn't have the headset on. Allora, aspetta un attimo. What is this? I'm calling Fabio just to make sure that he understands because there's something that happened. I don't know. Ah, ecco. Ah, adesso è uscito. Okay. Now I think that he did. By the way, Holger and Anna, I think if you try to, can you hear me, Holger and Anna? Please write in the chat whether you can hear me or not. I don't know whether you can hear me or not. Okay, I believe that.
He made a sign that he hears you.
What's that? That was Cornelia, right?
Yes. And I think he made a sign that he hears you.
Ah, okay,
In
okay.
the camera.
Okay, no, because I'm not in the full screen view because I was trying to fix this up. Holger, Anna, what I would suggest is that I will again leave the audio conference. Can you see on the upper side of the screen, on the left-hand side of your screen, there is a navigation bar which says File, Edit, Share, View, Audio. Can you see that? Just say yes with your head, please. Okay. So when I leave the conference, I will do like this with my hand. Please go in there and follow the computer setup for audio. Okay. So I'm going to leave now so that we are all happy and everybody can hear everybody else. Okay, can you hear me now? Not yet. Can you hear me now? Yes. I don't know why. Fabio?
Sì? Sì?
Ah, okay. Adesso va bene. Holger, can you hear me now? Yes? Okay. Try and say something just to make sure that maybe we can hear you also.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, sì.
Of course.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Holger.
Ciao Fabio.
Welcome.
Great to see you.
It's great, absolutely great for me too.
Wonderful.
And when I listen Paganini, you know, everybody, I think about the next project, the future project with Anne.
Do you?
We have a fantastic program dedicated to the same time of Paganini, but with a much more interesting music. Because Paganini is great. It's absolutely fantastic. But of course, if you compare this composer with Rossini, Donizetti, Weigl, Paer, and Nicolini, that was a great class of composer. And we have a fantastic project with Anne Hallenberg to record the music dedicated to the famous singer Marcolini, that was a very famous singer, many premiere of Rossini. So we are involved in this repertory, and I think it's a wonderful period in the story of the Italian music. And then when you listen to Paganini, you understand that he was a great personality, but not exactly a great composer, except for the evolution of the violin. And also, what is very strange, you know, Dan, when I talk about Paganini and the personality of this man, you know, for example, that he just composed the orchestral part of two violin concertos, just the number 1 and the number 6, and the others concerti we just know guitar parts. Because he composed the accompanimento for guitar, and then when he moved in the different town, the maestro di cappella in the local orchestra was
wrote
to transcribe the guitar part for orchestra. And then in some
he didn't have time, probably.
In some concert was not possible, so Paganini played violin concerto with just a guitar accompanimento. And we have some documents, for example, in Frankfurt, where was not able to find a guitar player, so he played solo completely like a recital. The violin concerto number 5. So you can imagine that how much he manipulated. That's also very, very important and very interesting, because of course that was his time, and in his time the improvising and make ornament was of course alla moda. And he do also during Decadenza imitation of the animals, dogs and cats and birds. So I think that we will be very shocking to go back in the past and listen Paganini, because it's completely another society, another context.
There are terrible stories about Paganini in the middle of a concert. doing very strange voices, not sounds, not exactly neither from his mouth or from his violin. And he was very proud of it. Had some. It was a kind of a strange, a little bit like maybe Sarasate, who was also a grand virtuoso, but also the music is not very, very interesting, and that's why I say chapeau, Maestro Accardi, because he does render the musical part of it. Let me get back to Rossini, home of music lovers in Palermo. How do you find yourself in the 17th and 18th century? How do you find yourself with a violin that was almost extinct until the late 40s with a bow? And what was the attraction for you?
The attraction was, I remember this was very shocking for me to listen for the first time the Matthew Passion of Bach in the, the old record, the Telefunken, das alte Werk, performed by Nicolas Arnoncourt. And this was 72. And of course, I was in the conservatory in Parma to study modern violin, completely involved to the idea to play, I don't know, the Tchaikovsky violin concertos and something. So somebody just gave to me this record, and I listened to this. I said, that's completely crazy. Why they play like this? It was totally surrealist for me in the beginning. And then after 2 days, I was completely in love, colpo di fulmine, you can say in English. It was incredible because in the record was the thought of the instrument. It was extremely passionate for me, discovering this new world. And then also, I think I was attracted about the idea that was possible to play different. Because at this time start to evolve a sort of globalization of the interpretation. I remember before this time it was very easy to recognize the David Oistrakh record or Jascha Heifetz or Milstein, and then we go very quickly to a sort of standardization of the interpretation. Even today, it's very difficult when you listen to Tchaikovsky violin concertos, know exactly who play. That's very dangerous in one way. So the Baroque music gives a completely new smell about the possibility to think new the music and think new the interpretation. And of course, at this time, well, I remember when I started Baroque violin was 73. The people was completely behind this movement, especially in Italy. I remember people told me, "You are completely crazy. You are so talented for play the big repertory. Why you play Baroque violin? It's you lose your time." And they say, "No, I think it's great. It's fantastic." And then, for example, to listen Paganini, it's also true that when I start Baroque violin, I feel that at this time there was not people to play the virtuoso repertoire in 17th and 18th century. I remember that I was so attracted and so happy to do my first record of Tartini violin sonata. I mean, it was a repertoire that nobody played with the ancient instrument, the old instrument. And even I think 18th century, it's so full of incredible virtuoso pieces. So in one way, I was not frustrating. I consider it that the virtuoso piece in 18th century, it's also a very good gymnasium, exactly like Paganini or Tchaikovsky. So I think that was, I was so exciting because a lot of different way was possible in vocal music, instrumental music, chamber music. So in very quickly, I was completely in love about this repertory, and of course, I am until now. I have exactly the same passion.
Well, I told you, and I'm going to share it with everybody. Uh, there was a time, I think it was in the late 60s, the beginning of the 70s, in the United States, wherever you took an elevator in one of those huge buildings, you know, that you went up 60 or 70 uh, stores just to get to wherever you went. Normally, the music in the elevator, because you had to have music, obviously, the music was Vivaldi, the Four Seasons. I couldn't listen to it anymore. I mean, I couldn't listen to it. It was so terrible. It was so, there was nothing human. There was nothing, there was no thought. There was nothing. And one day, I was living in Milan at that time. I was driving with my car towards Portofino, and I remember exactly where it happened. All of a sudden, and it was in 1992 or 93, something like that. No, earlier, 88 or 89. And I listened to another Vivaldi. I listened to a completely different piece of music. And I just couldn't believe it. And then they said it's Europa Galante with Fabio Biondi. That's the first time I actually heard your name, and it it opens up. It's not only the instrument, but it's the joy of music, which is really completely different. Even if we take Bach before he met the grand Italian composers like Pergolesi, Vivaldi, he was different. After when he started, when he started doing the Italian pieces, the Italianate pieces after Vivaldi and after Palestrina, and also, it was a different music. Of course, the genius of Bach was always there, but there's also a lot of studying, a lot of understanding that is involved in the music of the Baroque, because basically very little was written. A lot of it was given to the performers, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You open a lot of very interesting arguments, a lot. The first is, for example, sometimes I laugh when the people mention the famous phrase of Stravinsky, when the people ask, Mr. Stravinsky, what do you think about the Vivaldi music? And he answered, well, I think Vivaldi wrote 120 times the same concerto. And that's terrible. I mean, it's disappointing for people that love Vivaldi like me. But what is completely true is, especially for Italian music, not for German music, and that's completely different if you compare, for example, German music in Baroque era like Telemann or Bach and the Italian composer in the North area like Venezia, Vivaldi or Marcello. If you don't do a love act about this music is very poor, or you investigate a lot about the dynamics and articulation, phrase, or can be very stupid. That's true. So in one way, I think at this time, Stravinsky is right, because this music don't accept routine. I remember when I was very young to listen a terrible Matthew Passion of Bach, played by an orchestra from the Guinness Beer Society. It's surrealist, but that's true. And it was very bad. But music was so beautiful. I mean, don't change the quality of Bach music. But if you play routinier, Vivaldi can be really, really terrible. So in one way, it's a great education to think about every bar, every note, to find something interesting and special. So I think it's a great school for your mind, and because it's think and first about the music, and then of course Four Seasons was very important for me. It was very important for Europa Galante. But I remember at this time when we decided to record Four Seasons was just to enjoy a fantastic, important piece. And that's true that at this time in the market, there was not Baroque Italian ensemble. So we decided to do this. And for me, it was like discover the score in a library. We was very virgin about this. There was not any, I mean, not any idea about, okay, we can do something for shock the audience and do something new. It was just natural, was our attitude about this music. A lot of narcissism, of course, because I am violinist, I like to play the virtuoso music, Italian virtuoso music, and it was so natural. Today, when you listen what was after Europa Galante, you can understand, of course, that was in some way also dangerous opening a new season because a lot of people play just for shock the audience and manipulate the music just for show the capacity of the performance. This is very dangerous and it's incorrect to compare the music. Music is first and then the performance coming. So it's a different concept. I still am very passionate about music and found new music and try to learn and also teach to the audience a new story of the music. This is the reason why, of course, we are very happy to play Four Seasons and Vivaldi, but at the same time, I'm very excited to present new composer because some composers consider it, they are in fact completely forget today is part of a very important story of the music. In January, we will perform in Vienna an opera by Attilio Ariosti that was a very important composer. Hanne is with us to sing the title role. With Olga and Cornelia, we have this fantastic project for Adriano in Syria of Veracini.
Yeah.
And again, with Anne, we have in the end of next year a new Vivaldi opera, Oracolo in Messenia. I mean, many elements are very important to make a new picture of the story of the music because the audience learn a lot of mistake and they think that if we don't know about Attilio Ariosti, it's just because the music is not interesting, and the reasons are completely different. It's because the score was not sent in another place after the premiere. I mean, we have a lot of reasons why some music is not survived at the 18th century. So it's a geography very exciting for a performance. We have a lot of music to found in the library, and it's exactly what is very exciting for me. You just start every new day with the feeling that you have a lot of space for discovering new things. And I don't talk only about the music, but also about the performance. Because when I started 30 years ago, Baroque violin, we was very convinced about some some elements. And now we know that these elements are completely destroyed because we have found a lot of documents, and the document, one document it's behind the other. So we have a different geography today about the 18th century. We know that every school was completely different, and if 30 years ago we found true, we know that today we don't have a true, but we have a lot of different true, and that's very exciting because like we have Italian performance, we have English performance, German performance, and French performance, and that's completely wrong to think that Corelli played by a Italian violinist. It's more you can say convaincu,
Convinced.
than Corelli played by French violinists, because Corelli was exporting in every part of the world. So every Corelli in every part of the world, it's true, it's authenticity, and I mean that's very important, because like this, I think we can show a sort of tolerance that's very, very important, because also in music there are a lot of racism, and that's very dangerous.
I think there's something very special in Italian music as such, because it's the only music, and I'm talking about the 17th and 18th century, it's the only music where you don't have an Italian style. You have a Napoli style, you have a Venice style, you have a Mantova style, and they have things in common, but they really, I mean, if you take Palestrina and Vivaldi, even writing Miserere, or they didn't write the Miserere, but writing motets, it's different music. And in Germany, you don't have that. In Germany, you have Bach before and after he met through Hasse, the Italian composers. But if you take Buxtehude, he's like, you know, he's a German, although he lived in Lübeck and not. What is it that makes the Italian music of that time so particular to a certain geography? Because really the music from Venice of that time has a kind of wealth that music from other places do not have. I mean, if you read a manuscript of Vivaldi and you start listening to it in your head, the secrets that come out are incredible. And why did it develop so much in Italy more than, let's say, in France? We had beautiful music also, but it was much more unified than the difference in music from one region into another in Italy.
Yeah, you know, Italy was not a country; it was a lot of different countries. In one way, the word Italian music is completely wrong when you talk about Italian Baroque music. No, it's not exact. You must be talking about Venetian and Roman and Naples music, and every country was under a different domination, so that the culture, the language, the vocabulary, the kind to play was completely different. That's very exciting. I remember, you know, after the fourth season, I recorded oratorio of Alessandro Scarlatti, and I remember the critics say, "Oh, we like a lot this music of Alessandro Scarlatti, but we are a little surprised because we did not found the same narcissism and explosion performance of Fabio Biondi in this music." And of course, because Scarlatti is not Vivaldi, it's completely a different vocabulary, a different idioms. So I think it's very, very exciting. It's
Wir haben jetzt einen schlechten Empfang.
We have a little problem here with, hi, honey, I can now
Hi.
see you very close.
No, I'm back.
Fabio has a internet problem.
Yeah.
And he'll be with us in a second. I don't know if you can see that. By the way, Anne,
Yeah?
on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a little thing that says full screen mode.
Yes,
And if you press on that, you will see all of us together.
I do. I see all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Fabio it's still turning there.
No problem now.
Yeah, there's a little problem. But so what else? What I'll suggest that we do, because this will solve itself. Somebody wrote something to me. Just a second. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Just a second. What I suggest in the meantime, until Fabio comes back to us. I think the best thing to do for Fabio will be to leave the room and come back, which is what we always have to do here.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
No.
Ci sei, perfetto.
Yes. When you, because I talk a lot for minutes and minutes.
No.
When you lost me, at which point of the consideration?
We were halfway between Venice and Naples.
Oh my God, that was the beginning. No, for example, I said that when I don't know if you listen when I talk about the Alessandro Scarlatti oratorio.
Yes. We heard that. Yes.
What is very interesting, what I say is that of course every place was completely different, and you can compare the kind to play in Rome. I was in Venice. You can understand this from the writing of the music, that it's completely different between one town and another town. But also in German, you can find many differences between Berlin and Dresda and Hamburg. When you think about the music of Telemann, the evolution of the opera in Hamburg with Telemann, and when you listen Graupner, you compare this with different composer, Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, or the Dresden composers, influenced by the Italian music in Dresda, import by Georg Pisendel. I mean, it's so exciting, and every school are completely different. What I said also is, we talked with Anne about this, the difference between the early Baroque, the late Baroque, the Gallant style and the classical style, because it's very strange sometimes. You listen people play Gluck like Bach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we was behind the modern performance, because we say 30 years ago, oh, that's terrible, because the people play every music with vibrato and every music with the same attitude. And then now in the Baroque, the people play 100 years of music with the same attitude.
The same attitude, yes.
That's also very, very strange. So at which point you can use the vibrato, the portamento. I mean, there's a lot of elements, and it's so exciting to explore every school and every moment. So I think also the mistake in one way is just to fix the idea about the originality, authenticity. That's also a very strange word, because I'm very happy to play Baroque violin, and I love a lot. But we mustn't forget that it's much better a very intelligent pianist play with the piano Bach than a terrible cembalo player. And what's happened now is the audience think that cembalo is better than piano, even if it's bad played. So instrument, it's a medium, it's great, but it's not the focal center of the interpretation. What is very important, it's lecture of the music, the sense of phrase, the difference between one school and another school. We can investigate a lot. It's one reason why I'm very happy sometimes to share my experience with a modern orchestra, because you can do also a very interesting product, even if you don't have the original instrument, because interpretation is the first thing, and then we can start to talk about the instrument. So I think in one way I laugh sometimes. I think that the audience was better maybe 20 years ago than now. Now the people think that to have a love duetto with Anne Allenberg and I don't know, a soprano is not so authenticity like a soprano and a controtenor. That is completely wrong, because controtenor, it's out of the story of the opera in the 18th century, because there was falsettisti. So it's more surrealist, a controtenor sing a castrato aria than to have Anne Allenberg. So
Hooray!
10 years ago, the audience was surprising and happy, and now we just give some little information more that are completely wrong. So
There's still a lot to do, Fabio,
yeah,
because I read
yeah.
in the Guardian. You know, it's an important newspaper in London. They wrote about the performance of Andreas Scholl and Philip Biondi, and it was so stupid. You know, they were talking about who was better in the very high notes, not about the presentation of the music, nothing about whether it's right or wrong. It's like what you said before. You know, it's like going for Guinness, the Book of Records, to have the highest. So there's still a lot to do.
Well, yeah, sorry, but with the contratenor, we are a little in the folklore moment now. Because in German, you can have a concert dedicated to the 4 contratenor, for example. With artists that I like very much, like Xavier Sabata. I mean, very good contratenor. And of course, you talk about Andreas Scholl. We do music together. He's absolutely great. But come on, I mean, it's a folklore phenomenon because these people.
But it's like you.
Yeah, these people sing fantastic, but it's a falsetto voice. It's voice for church music. It's not for opera. So I think some information are very, very wrong, and the people like to have some phenomenon. To have Chenchik and Xavier Sabata and Neta and that scream in a stage about he sing more faster or more loud. That it's a little behind the music for me. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little perplexed about this.
No, it's well. First of all, I would like to talk a little bit about what you said, that it's dangerous what's happening today because everybody is becoming more and more virtuoso, and I definitely share it. I don't like virtuoso per se, but there's still room for the real musicians. And if we take Andreas Scholl, for me, is a great singer. His instrument happens to be the counteralto, but he's not a lyrical singer. He's not an opera singer. He's not. I saw him in Giulio Cesare, and the voice was beautiful, but it was not opera. We are losing you, Fabio.
Okay.
Say something? No, penso che puoi parlare, ma non ti vediamo bene. Non so. What I would suggest that we do until Fabio comes back with us, I'm going to let us listen to Matteo's Passion by Harnoncourt. It's not the 1970 performance, it's the performance of 1999. But still very pure and a different way of presenting Bach completely.
Dan,
we're
listen to me. I'm here again.
Yes.
No, sorry.
Hi.
Hi. No, I just say of course and welcome. But what is wrong? It's not share the phenomenon of the castrati with the contratenor. That's really a big mistake. You know, for example, just for tell you, the last record of Europa Galante, L'Ercole sul Termodonte of Vivaldi, when you do a Baroque opera, sometimes, Anna, you know perfectly this. Of course, what is strange for the conductor is when the repertoire was wrote for castrato, sometimes the dangerous is to have only women. I know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
sometimes it's a little dangerous because you can't have a real dramaturgy. So some contratenor it's welcome in the difference between every voice. This is the reason why Philippe Jaruski is in L'Ercole sul Termodonte. Otherwise, we just have 6 women and 1 bass and 1 tenor. So that's fantastic because you need a different of timbro sound. That's okay, but don't give like the recording house do now the ghost of the castrati, because it's completely different. You can compare. And Anne, when she sings, it's more close than a castrato than Andrea Scholl.
I would like to say one
etymology of the sound, even if it's great to listen Andreas. But it's very important that the audience understand this. Otherwise, we make up a lot of confusion.
Fabio, I think that it's very important to remember that music was always for the very few. It was not, so now music is still for the few, and for the masses, you have the phenomenon. You have, who sings higher, who is. It's like going back to the 19th century with the lady with the beard and the strong man and all this. It has nothing to do with music. It's entertaining.
Of course.
That's fine, but
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely with you, and I think it's a nice phenomenon. But what's important is historically to don't make confusion. Otherwise, the audience learns the worst thing, and they start to think with a mistake mentality. That's very dangerous, especially for the castrato phenomenon. So we must just say that it's fantastic to have a great generation of contratenor, especially now because, of course, Andreas is great. David Daniels, we have a lot of great voice. It's not like 20 years ago where contratenor was just in the beginning of the evolution. So I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I use contratenor even in Agrippina of Handel, because it's important to have a variety in the sound. But what is very important is say, okay, but please, this is not the castrato sound. Unfortunately, we have the castrati. You know that again, Stravinsky have a fantastic communication with the Pope, and the Pope say, "Oh, Maestro, can I do something for you?" And he say, "Yes, give me back the castrati, please." This is a
there were castrati in the 20s. In the 1920s, there was still castrati, which I read.
We have a record. You know the record of Moreschi, the last castrato in the Cappella Sistina.
Yes.
But unfortunately, he's 60 at this time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that a worse contratenor is better than him.
No. It's a sad performance. Era molto triste di ascoltarlo. It was really. But let's go to Nikolaus Harnoncourt and listen to. It's not the one you said. It's much newer, but that's the one I have. It's with the Arnold Schönberg Choir and the Concertus Musicus of Vienna. So let's listen to it. What I would like to ask everybody, when we listen to the music, please mute yourself so that we hear the music much better. So here we go. it's a real feast to hear this. I remember listening to recordings before Gustav Leonhard and then Nikolaus Harnoncourt started giving a new life. The trumpets in this piece were like shy, you know, they didn't dare. Non hanno avuto il coraggio to really play it like here. It's such a it's like somebody shouting, "Shut up, because I have to talk to my Jesus."
It's
It's
one of the
definitely
it's one of the most beautiful music never wrote. For me, Matthew Passion is, I don't know, it's the alpha and omega of music. It's so beautiful, and my dream is to conduct the Matthew Passion, and this is the reason why we have for August 13 a Matthew Passion in Varsavia. With
really?
Anne, but with the Mendelssohn edition. So we will do the Matthew Passion 18029 Sing Academy in Berlin. It's the edition of Mendelssohn with different instruments and but at the
completely. But it's a completely different.
No, completely. But of course, there is not cembalo but pianoforte, and we don't have oboe d'amore, but oboe and clarinet. How was make the first time that the audience listened the complete score of Matthew Passion, even if it was not complete because Mendelssohn cut a lot of arias, but it's also a very important revival because, of course, Mendelssohn is a great composer and we must say thank you to him, otherwise Bach was completely forget. So that
but he had what you say in English. He had balls. Sorry about the word, because he took the violin and the cello solo pieces of Bach and put an orchestra to them. It was well, Bach was forgotten for almost 150 years, almost. But what is so important in my book in the period of the Baroque, the Renaissance, is the respect for the word, is the respect of the sung word. You can find it in the beginning with people like Gesualdo and Monteverdi. All of a sudden, the word has an importance. It's not just something which is a tantra, which is you know, singing in your ear, that doesn't really mean anything. And very interesting is what Bach did with the Pergolesi piece. He used exactly the same music with words in German, and instead of the Psalms of the Bible, it was a Miserere written by I don't know who wrote it. Maybe Bach himself. I don't know. But it's completely different. We are going to have now a little surprise because on my door I can hear knocking, and it's the Europa Galante, which we didn't meet yet, and we're going to meet them now, coming into the houses of everybody. By the way, welcome to you, Lady Rock. I have no idea where you come from, and I'd like to know. So if you want to unmute yourself and tell us, it's very...
Hello, Lady Rock.
Okay. Before we go into Il cimento dell'armonia e dell'invenzione, tell us a little bit about forming the Europa Galante.
Well,
how did it?
Yeah, it was now it's 21 years ago, and I was in Paris to record Amadigi di Gaula of Handel with Mark Minkowski, because we just two together, Les Musiciens de Louvre this time, and Mark was involved to some record for Erato, and I was first violin for him. So we was with Natalie Stutzman to record Amadigi di Gaula. That was an old dream of me and Mark, because we was passionate about Handel opera. At this time, the producer of this record was Jolanta Scura. Jolanta Scura was, of course, she was the directrice of Opus 111, my first record house, and she asked me if I was interested to make a Baroque Italian orchestra, and I say, of course, I'm very interested. She told me that she was interested to found a new recording house and dedicate to Baroque, Italian Baroque music, and just was this the reason why I collect some friends around me, passionate for Baroque music, and we found Europa Gallant, and was a family. Like now, we are a family. We still are a family now, because
I want to try and see if you can.
Exactly.
I'm trying to show you
Yeah.
Fabio about 30 years ago, no, 20 years ago. But, so this is the Tatini. What we're going to listen to now is a much later recording, a recording that you did for Verdi. And if it's okay with everybody, I would like to welcome Europa Galante Fabio Biondi, the revival for me of Vivaldi, and we're going to listen to La Primavera, the first movement of La Primavera. So please mute yourself and enjoy. What a joy. You always succeed in surprising me when I listen to the piece. I always find something new. I find a new, uh, I find more notes when you play the piece than when I read it. You know,
And still,
I would like to,
it's so different to compare the concert now. That's also incredible because this record, I mean, it's new. It's not really new.
yeah,
This is the
it's
very
9 years old.
yeah, and it's incredible how much this piece was changed again.
No, it's
Now when we play different, and even every night we play different new elements in every concert. It's a great music. I'm never boring about Four Seasons.
but what I find so incredible is that in your presentation of a piece of music, there's always something new. I mean, you know, when I listen to a great orchestra play the triple concerto of Beethoven, it surprises me, although I know the music by heart, but only if it's really great. I heard you, I don't know how many times play you and Europa Galante. The first record that you did, I heard it, I don't know how many, hundreds of times. And it was always like, for me, like visiting Venice. Every time I come to Venice, I like to get lost and, you know, not know where I am. And then all of a sudden I'm in Venice. And it's the same. How do you do it? What is the magic that you put into the Vivaldi?
I think it's just understand the personality of this music. This music is so poor in the writing, and of course, what is the invitation is okay. I give you this, but then is you. So dependent you every day. You are different, and every day I can give you the opportunity to say something new. And I think it's typical in the Venetian music. uh, Vivaldi was a big virtuoso, and he was probably the better performer of his music, and probably the little girl in La Pietà, of course, that was pupil of him. But I think the secret is, uh, when I play Vivaldi, but also when I play Tartini, the impression and the feeling is, my God, that's my music. Like if I am the composer. Uh, and of course, that's not true because Vivaldi is a genius. I'm not a genius. But this idea that it's so natural and it's part of your language. So in one way, you can also change because it's you. So and that's absolutely not the same feeling. Of course, when I play Bach or Telemann, you feel in the music at which point you can change, and at which point you must be a little more. I don't know, Lutheran,
Traditional.
respect to writing. That's also
Yeah,
very.
Vivaldi and Lutherans don't go together exactly. But it now reminds me all of a sudden of some of the great poetry of the minimalists, like "Mi lumino d'immenso."
Mm-hmm.
2 words, and every time you can find incredible pieces of land and things are happening. "Mi lumino d'immenso." I
Mm-hmm.
enlighten in the immensity, and I before tonight, I also said that Vivaldi actually came back in the shoes of Fabio Biondi. And I'm not sure that I'm mistaken because you do a fantastic Tartini and Concerti Grossi, but the way you do Vivaldi is, I don't know, as you say, it's Vivaldi. You are writing the music every time in a not only in a different way, but with a different kind of understanding, with a different kind of an insight, and it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. What I wanted to ask you, what we lost after um, the Baroque are the constant basis for improvisation. The basso continuo disappeared. What was the role of the basso continuo in the music? Because it was also introduced in the beginning of the Baroque, and it died away with the Rococo, no?
Yeah, it's a long story, but even also this depends in the different school. When you see in the writing of the music at which point the basso continuo, it's interesting, like fundamental of the harmony, used like contrapoint and integral part of movement of every part. For example, in Italy, especially in some area like Naples and Rome, in the beginning of 18th century. But then be careful because the basso continuo changed from Naples, especially with the new Gallant style in school. So we talk about Pergolesi, Leo Hasse, Leo Vinci. When the basso changed and started to be a support metrical and agogico, and then change completely. So, for example, it's amazing how you can listen the difference between Handel or Vivaldi or Caldara or Bononcini, the old style, used the basso, and how the new Napolitan composer used the basso, like Pergolesi and Vinci. And so there is an evolution, and this evolution change in every part of the Europe. You can imagine in London, for example, how it was amazing for the audience listen the opera of Handel and then change the street, go in the opposite theater and listen Veracini and Peschetti and Hasse. That was the winner because the audience was completely crazy for this new language. It's a new language. It's completely different. When you listen, and even also some people say the basso was boring and too severe. This is the Venetian audience talk about Alessandro Scarlatti in Venezia in the beginning of 18th century because they don't accept the composition of Naples composer in the beginning of 18th century. I mean, we are normally we don't think how was incredible new for every audience, every language. We talk about, again, massive word like Baroque Italian music that completely no sense because every area was so different. And the people fight about this because some audience say, I don't want listen this. For example, the French style and the Italian style. Handel in Rome, in the beginning of his career, to conduct La Resurrezione with Arcangelo Corelli, first violin. Sometimes I just think, my God, I won't come back in the past just for listen. Corelli, first violin, Handel conduct, Pasquini in the cembalo, play La Resurrezione, with Handel that say, oh, come on, play this Sinfonia, Overture alla Francese, and Corelli say, I'm sorry, maestro, I can't play this style. I don't understand nothing about French music. Can you explain me? And Handel take the violin and play the Overture alla Francese because, of course, the Italian performance was completely lost with this music. So for this reason, we talk a lot about the French style to compose but perform in Italy, then it was completely different than in French or in England. Especially with Anne, we do Agrippina of Handel. And if you listen to the Sinfonia of Agrippina and you think that it was performed in Teatro San Giovanni Grisostomo in Venice, of course the people don't play double point. They don't play ya, pa-bam, ting, ta-da, but they probably play with quavers. Because it was a different style. So when the people say, no, it's double, because it's alla francese, the question is, yes, but where? At what time? because every place was different. So this for me it's particularly exciting. This is a way to not to be globalizzati in the interpretation and think about in every piece what is the right way to. So I think also for the basso continuo it depends of lot of things. Of course, in the Gallant style and in the classical style, the basso starts to be not a basso continuo. It's integral part of a different context. And but for example, I can tell you a very fun story about recent production that we do in Varsavia. We play Norma of Vincenzo Bellini with original instrument. So for many years, I was convinced about the presence of pianoforte or cembalo at this time, played by the composer. And then we do Norma 10 years ago, and Philip Gosset, a very important musicologist about Rossini and Bellini, wrote a book about the Italian opera in the 19th century. And then it's fantastic because he dedicates one part of one capitolo, how you say, chapitre, about
one chapter.
Yeah,
One
our
chapter.
Norma. And he say, I was so happy and so excited because it was completely new for me, and I think that was a great experience, totally new. And I say thank you to Fabio Biondi, blah blah blah. Everything was good. Except he say, I'm not completely convinced about pianoforte because we know that in the contract was put that the composer, but we don't have really documents that confirm that was played by the composer. And then 2 weeks ago, Gosset with some musicologists found the score of Norma performed the same year after the premiere in La Scala in Rome. And this is a very important discovery, the original score of the performance. And you know what? In all the score, from the beginning until the end, in the basso part, there are numbers for the fortepiano, for realize the basso. And then it's, of course, it's a particular victory for me. But apart this, what is incredible is that, again, we know that the idea to play a keyboard instrument and realize a basso continuo was still present until the half of 19th century. That's extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we are going to change atmosphere a little bit and listen to Pergolesi, to the Salve Regina, the one in A minor, the Largo, what you recorded quite some time ago with Barbara Schick. I believe that you remember the recording.
Absolutely.
So it's a really masterpiece. So we go into again a different kind of a religious narrative, and there's no comparison to anything that until that moment in time was written in Germany, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, Pergolesi comes out with this Salve Regina. I'm going to shut up and let you and Barbara Schlick talk to us, and we'll talk about it later. So please, everybody, mute yourself. We're going to listen to Salve Regina in A minor, sorry. It's the first movement, the Largo. I was muted. I just said that it was. It always kind of brings tears to my eyes. I don't know why. It's not. But listening to the beginning, especially when l'attacco, she goes into the Salve Regina, and I just feel like holding back and wait for her to give us more. Where do you feel?
No,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just to listen this, I just think about a question also for Hanne. It's interesting to think that at this time the record is very old. It's I think 14 years ago. There was a generation of singers really dedicated to this repertoire. And then we fall down a little in a confusion time where, I am behind the word Baroque and modern. That's stupid, but that's true that a new generation of singers not to really prepare about this repertoire and not to really involve in this vocabulary go in the market. I think it's a difficult question, but I feel today a big confusion in the world of the singers for this repertoire, because some singers are really involved and think about the language and the interpretation and blah blah blah, and some singers just come from the star system and they are put in the record or in the production, and then the conductor must be tried to just put this singer in the salad and make a coherent product, and then the singers don't know exactly how to sing in this repertoire, and you have a strange melange. People that normally play and sing only Puccini and the Verismo go in some production of Baroque music because of course it's better for sale the record, it's the star system, it's the market. And then, for example, when I work with singers like Anne or others, you feel that there are a real complicity because they believe in this language. They try to go in the real dramaturgy. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe was a little more separate, the system between the modern singers dedicated to some repertoire and the Baroque one. And I was a little complaining about some singers, of course, because there was not with a big capacity in terms of volume or in terms, but was concretely more better relation with the instrumental ensemble and with the conductor. And then now we are in a little confusion time where you can listen a very strange product with a very Baroque ensemble with a very modern singers, and then I'm a little scared sometimes because we lose some coherence in this area, and I think it's extremely important because what is good and convincing in opera and oratorio, it's the coherence between the lecture of the orchestra, the conductor, and the singers. And then now we are a little put in a bad way from the promoter and from the record house, and for the people that make a confusion between culture and market. Culture, it's not make money to have the all full of audience. It's just for show evolution in the language, in the interpretation. And with the new generation of the singers, sometimes I'm very happy because we have a great voice that help this repertory, but at the same time, we have a generation of people that they don't believe in this music, honestly, and they accept just to be a la moda and participate to some repertory that now it's really a la moda. We have a lot of audience that. No, Anna, what do you think about this?
I agree. I think, does it work now? You can hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, good. I think it's a way of a kind of side effect that we are now accepting bigger voices and different kind of voices into the Baroque music. Look, when say the rebirth of the Baroque, when we had all these English groups starting, it was the ideal was always very wide and very controlled, and we are moving a little bit away from it. That of course opens the door more to different kinds of singers who perhaps not, as you said, don't really know exactly what they're doing or not really care what they are doing. So I think it might be a side effect of it. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I remember, for example, the time of Emma Kirby and
Exactly.
the first England generation. I remember, for example, the first record of Handel Oratorio with Christopher Hogwood and the Academy. It was 30 years ago. And then I followed this record because I was happy and followed the production of Handel, the new record, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember the coming out, a Hester of Handel with Sutherland. I was completely shocked because I said, what? I mean, that's strange, Sutherland think to sing with the original instrument. And it was very nice because I remember the interview. The people say, what do you think about original instrument and original performer? And she say, I think it's great. I like a lot the original instrument. In any case, I am an original all the instruments. Was very nice, but of course the style was completely out. So at this time, I remember this sort of strange melange. I don't talk about, of course, the quality of Sutherland. That's absolutely a great singer. But I remember that it was a beginning of something strange and something, not a natural evolution. I mean, from the old generation, you have a new one. There are a little less integralist, with a little more sound and a little more warm sound and vibrato. That's absolutely welcome in this repertory. But it was a sort of completely cut between the past and the new. And the new was a sort of frutto misto. You put everything in there, and you try to find the good combination for sale good the record. It's a little strange. So I don't know. It's also probably the conductor must be very careful also for this and combine the right cast for every opera and think that I agree the people that say that the opera is like the cinema. You must be put the good people together for make a good movie. And with the singers, it's more or less the same thing because you can have a great voice, but completely different than the rest of the cast. And it's very difficult for the rest of the cast. We talk about contratenor, for example. Of course, if you put a big voice with a lot of power and a good contratenor, but with not too much sound, sounds completely strange, especially in the dramaturgy. So it's also element. I think we must think a lot about the good combination and the etymology of the singers. But in another way, it's the same what's happened with the instrumentalist people. we have some violinist or cellist or oboe player that was completely behind Baroque music until last week, and then they are completely transformed in Baroque performer because it's well, it's a good way for make money because with the economical crisis, the people just accept not play Tchaikovsky concerto and they put gut strings and just try to play, but they don't have any information about this repertory. So it's what I call in Italian generazione degli improvvisati. People that improvise and then listen the record and try to do the same thing. But I say, you know, we suffer for 20 years just for take the good way, and at least you must be just to be concentrated about this repertory and read about this music for some years before playing, not from Saturday from Sunday to Saturday. So it's also a strange moment for this. I don't listen you, Dan. Dan?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but now Dan speak, but I don't listen.
Dan,
Dan!
Nope.
Where are you?
Antwerp.
Pronto? Mi sentite? Mi sentite?
Io sento qua.
Ah, Cornelia, la tua voce.
Sì.
Luisa, tu senti? Luisa? Ci senti?
I can hear you.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so you go out and come back to the room. That's fine. We'll wait for you.
Can you hear me?
No,
No,
not really.
no.
So that's what I'll.
We listen a little voice like a countertenor.
Go out and come back.
Okay.
Anne,
Sì,
Anne,
ti sento. Sometimes.
the score of l'Oracolo in Messenia, it's ready now.
Uh-huh.
We talk
Well, I'm
about
up to my ears
work.
with Ariosti.
I know, I can understand. Yeah.
Don't give me anything in alto clef anymore.
I know, I know.
Or is soprano clef? It's soprano clef. It is just as bad.
Poor, I know, I know. Like second violin, also in soprano key.
We are going to be against you, all of us.
Well, it's not so difficult soprano. It's worse the contralto key.
Yeah, it's true. This is just a third down all the time.
It's strange why our edition so nice. It's not, you know, put with the easy key.
Yeah.
No such problems in Veracini.
Olga and Cornelia, the Veracini, it's beautiful music, really. It's so great. It's very good music.
Oh, yes.
Fabio,
Yeah,
did you get the second act?
yes, yes, thank you.
The third act after Christmas.
E i recitativi anche?
Sì? No, ho problemi con il PDF, Cornelia. Ho avuto
Come
problemi
mai?
ad aprire. No, ma poi ci sono riuscito.
Ah, ok.
Perché non ho più il mio Mac perché si è rotto, ho uno stupido PC,
Ah,
purtroppo. Luisa,
non c'è.
I can hear you. No, nothing. I must start to write the recitativi now. It's a long way.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, you'll think that this is Nira, but actually it's me because I just changed computers with Nira. Fabio, I think that I have a surprise for you. I don't know if you're going to like the surprise, but what is going to happen is in 2011, sometimes probably May or April or something like that, there's going to be an incredible performance of the three tenors singing Pergolesi.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to conduct that? I'm
I
joking.
want to conduct that.
A bad joke.
No,
A bad joke.
sometimes it's hard to conduct one tenor.
It reminds me, you know.
Three is maybe too much for me.
You know, it reminds me. Leonard Bernstein did the Brahms piano concerto with Glenn Gould, and they fought like hell. I mean, they couldn't agree about anything, and it's a terrible recording, really so bad, because Glenn Gould plays Glenn Gould. He doesn't care about anything. So in Bach, sometimes it works. So anyhow, so you don't want to conduct the three tenors?
No, why not? No, of course. No, Pergolesi especially, it's so beautiful music, so why not? Apropos the Pergolesi, you know that in Italy we have the famous Pergolesi Spontini Festival. It's a very important festival because it's especially dedicated to Pergolesi, and they do all the opera and oratorio. And I was invited last year to perform La Fenice sul Rogo. It's a beautiful music that he composed in the end of the study in the conservatory in Naples when he was very young. I mean, he was very young. He died very young. But it was the first work. And it's so beautiful composer. It's really great. It's really, really great. And he wrote fantastic for the voice. Not like Vivaldi.
The motet, the Vivaldi, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to another computer so that we can listen to Tartini. We're going to listen to the Sonata Stagione Bella. You remember
I remember. What is a mystery for me until now, it's the language. You know that in the sonata there is an alphabet, very mysterious alphabet. Then the people traduce finally, and is beginning of Metastasio.
Right.
So Stagione Bella, it's the decryptage of the text, but we don't know what is significant, what is the but every sonata and every concerto is full of citazioni. I mean,
quotes.
Yeah, from Metastasio. But he never composed the voice, so that's strange.
Anyhow, this brings us back to the market and money, because you just mentioned a very nice aspect of the music of Tartini, the enigma. So maybe we can do a multi-production, a Hollywood film about the life of Tartini through, and of course, always have the three tenors to sing it. So I'm going to ask Mira, who now has my computer, to let us listen to Tartini. I think this is also about 20 years ago, no? This record, this CD.
Yeah, it's very old. Yeah. It's one of the first.
Okay, let's mute everybody, and we're going to listen to Giuseppe Tartini, Fabio Biondi. There's a problem. Just a second. I know why. Just a second. Another masterpiece, although a little bit in the past, but it's still again and again and again with Tattini. The enigma is always present as for me, as a way of telling a story. I always feel that he's he's describing something. It's very descriptive. Fabio, I think that we can go on until way after Christmas, uh, because this is really the most extraordinary evening that we had so far in New Sofia, because you have so much to say, and I can go on listening to you for hours and hours and hours, but I keep getting requests from different people that they need to go to sleep, because that's those strange people that want to wake up in the morning and go to work. So what I would like to do, Fabio, I lost you. Okay.
Can you
Sì,
hear
sì.
me?
Sì. Yes, I
Ecco.
can hear you now.
Oh, perfetto, benissimo.
I lost you before.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I really would like to thank you and hope that this is just a beginning of, like Casablanca, of long friendship, and it's amazing the thing that you bring through your person and through your music. Just walk hand in hand. There's no Fabio Biondi persona and Fabio Biondi musicista. Just one wholeness, beautiful complex. So really, thank you very much.
It was really a fantastic pleasure. I think it's great, and communication is so important between musician, people, audience, musicologist. So I'm here for you, and I will be very happy to come again.
Let me announce to everybody, and it's going to be on our site as well, that sometimes, I don't know exactly when, next year, we are going to start having master classes for listeners. And I will ask you, Fabio, next time in that masterclass, to talk about how you listen to music, what you find every time new in the way that you listen to music, and we'll go from there. Just one thing before we say the last good night. Anne, I would very, very much love to have you as a guest in Sofia. So if you can write your email address in the chat, Anne,
Yeah.
I would love to send you an email, and then we'll start conversing maybe by phone and organize it.
Sure, my pleasure. I'll do that.
Okay, fantastic. So everybody, thank you very much for an incredible evening. The evening is recorded. I hope that the technical problems I had with my computer. By the way, Fabio, la colpa è tua. You insulted computers. You said
that's true. You are right.
you said they're stupid. So
That's true. That's true. That relation, it's very hard between me and the team. In any case, I love you, so that's the most important thing.
Do you hear it? He loves you. I'm talking to my computer. Okay, so
Okay.
thank you very much. It's recorded, and it's going to be on our site tonight. Have a beautiful continuation of the week, and hope to see you soon again in Sofia. Very good night to all of you, and thank you for being with us.
Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Good night.
Okay. Nina, you have to finish this. Just, yeah, that's super shoot. That's it. Yes.